The good news is we've made it to September and there is so much to plant and so many fun things to do in the garden. The bad news is it's still a little bit hot, but that's okay. I'm going to go through the tasks that need to be done this month, talk about what fun things we're going to harvest this month, give you a few clues about what to look out for in the garden, and of course let you know what to plant this month. Gardening in the low desert of Arizona means there's something that can be planted or harvested nearly year-round. And for a lot of things, September is the right time to plant. Make sure that you prepare and get your garden ready for planting. If you haven't already done so, fill those beds back up with compost. Make sure you've got good soil. Make sure your beds have been fertilized if they need it. Get those beds all ready for planting. You want to give everything that you plant the best chance for success by having really good, healthy soil. So this month we're waiting for that all-important time, that time when temperatures start to fall and the nights get a little bit cooler and we feel that little bit of relief in the air. So once that happens, once temperatures are consistently below 100 degrees, there's a lot of things that need to be done in the garden. It's a great time to prune your perennial herbs in the garden. Your oreganos, the rosemary, thyme, all of those things that may be looking a little bit haggard after a long hot summer. It's a good time to give them a good pruning. You don't want to take them all the way down, probably down by about a third. Give them a little trim, give them some fertilizer and a good drink, and you'll be amazed how they perk right back up and recover after that long hot summer. If you planted basil this year, September is a great month for basil. Make sure you continue to harvest so it continues to grow, so you can build up your basil stores and have basil to last you all through the winter and those cooler months when basil isn't growing. You may want to let some of your basil go to flower. The bees love it. The loofah is going crazy. It's taking over a lot of the trellises. Hopefully we'll start to see some fruits soon. September is a great time to save seeds from some of our favorite flowering annuals like zinnias and sunflowers. Citrus may be looking a little bit rough from this long hot summer we've had. A lot of those sun damaged leaves will fall off on their own as the tree gets new growth. If you didn't fertilize your citrus trees in late August, September is the last time of the year to fertilize your citrus trees. Be sure and give them the nitrogen that they need so they can produce a nice healthy crop of citrus for you. Once those temperatures drop and the nights are a little bit cooler and we're consistently below 100 degrees, go ahead and adjust the drips on your orange trees so that they're just getting watered maybe twice a month instead of the more frequent waterings during the summer. And each time you water, remember to give them that nice deep drink. Many plants that held on through the summer, like eggplant, will begin producing once these cooler temperatures come. You may want to harvest sweet potatoes this month, or you can leave them in the ground a little bit longer and harvest in October or November. Hopefully those tomatoes you planted back in July and August are settling in and you're starting to see some new growth. Continue to keep a close eye on those tomatoes. Make sure they're getting regular water and shade if they need it. But you should start to see some nice growth on all those tomatoes. If you planted purple hyacinth vine, hopefully it's growing well and you should start to see some blossoms later in the month. Your pepper plants hopefully survive the summer. Definitely time to give them a good trim. If you see some new growth forming along the branches, cut those branches back to there, give them a good dose of organic fertilizer, and those pepper plants are just going to come to life and we can look forward to great pepper harvests all through the fall, even into December. Looking around the garden, I see the Roselle hibiscus is getting huge. I'm so excited. We're going to have a great Roselle harvest. So September is a time where we might start to see a few of those blossoms. Definitely by the end of the month and the beginning of October, we're going to begin to harvest Roselle. Keep an eye on your Roselle plants. Make sure that you have them staked and supported as they're getting larger. You want to make sure they're not tipping over in those monsoon winds. Don't worry if you don't have blossoms yet, you will. By the end of the month or beginning of October, those Roselle are going to look great and we're going to be harvesting those yummy calyxes. Okra. If you've planted okra in your garden, it's probably going crazy. You have to harvest okra every day, no joke. If you want okra to keep producing, you have got to keep harvesting it, because when you stop picking, that signals to the plant that its job is done. So if you want to keep picking, got to keep harvesting that okra almost every day. September is a month when you start to see bigger harvests of the snake beans, the tepary beans, the cowpeas, all of those. Keep an eye on them, keep them harvested, because again, if you don't harvest them, it signals to the plant to slow down. So enjoy those bean harvests this month. Hopefully you've had some melons doing well. This has been a great year for melons in my garden. I'm not sure what I did differently this year, but cantaloupe have not quit all summer long and they're continuing to produce. And so I'm hoping and looking forward to continuing all through September, enjoying these delicious cantaloupe. Hopefully you've got some of the same growing in your garden. If you don't, next year be sure and plant some. They have just thrived in this really, really hot summer this year. All right, I'm gonna give you a few tasks to do this month. Get online and order your garlic. Now is a great month to order your garlic so it will be ready to plant in October and November. Once you get your garlic, leave the cloves intact, stick it in a paper sack and pop it in the fridge until it's time to plant next month. Another thing to be on the lookout for is seed potatoes. Not always the easiest to find those. What I usually have to do for my fall planting is to buy some organic potatoes at Sprouts. I look for the ones that are already starting to sprout a little bit. You want to keep them in the dark until they start to sprout and then bring them out into the light to chit those potatoes so that those sprouts can get longer and they'll be ready to plant at the end of the month or by the beginning of October. Our roses have been through a lot this summer. It has been a really hot summer. So this is the month you can give them a light pruning, not the heavy pruning that you do at the first of the year, but give them a light pruning and start to fertilize roses again this month. Give them a good drink of water and you're gonna see that new growth and that second flush of blooms for the year in your roses. If you've got a few dead spots in your yard that you've been dying to plant something, later in the month is a great time to start planting some of those spring flowering perennials. It's finally time, you can go ahead and plant. All right, I told you that I was gonna tell you something to look out for. And unfortunately, the cooler temperatures of September are also inviting to pests. Pests can be a problem in the September garden. Be on the lookout this month, spend some time in your garden every day and you'll notice problems before they get big. So you'll see on some of the Tacoma plants, the yellow bells and bougainvilleas, you might see them infected with black bugs or caterpillars on the leaves. First thing, if it's a big established tree, this happens every year, do nothing. Don't worry about it. If it's a young plant and you're worried about it, here's a few options. You can just spray it off with water. Do that a few times a day for a few days and that may be enough to take care of it. You can also spray with soapy water, being sure to rinse afterward. If neither of those methods work and it's still adversely affecting the health of that shrub or plant, then you may want to use neem oil or BT. But use a light hand and only if the overall health of the tree or shrub is going to be affected. Pretty soon they're going to move on. You can cut off severely affected branches when they're all done. Spider mites are a big problem in September gardens, it seems. Keep an eye out, they can literally suck the life out of plants. Spray off with water or neem oil. You may need to treat repeatedly. Spray off plants with water regularly to prevent future infestations. Whiteflies and aphids can also be a problem. So there's a few different things you can do. I love the sticky traps. Sometimes you have to replace them quite often to get ahead of them, but those can be really effective against pests like whiteflies. Again, water, soapy water, all of those treatments can work. If you notice problems when they're small, it's much easier to treat than if you wait until things get out of hand. There's an article on my blog all about different pests and organic methods that really work for treating those pests. If you need more information, head to my blog and you can read through that blog post. Okay, our pomegranates are starting to turn a little bit of color and starting to look good. So your job this month, keep an eye out for those leaf-footed bugs. They suck the juice and life literally right out of those pomegranates. So if you see them and you see the adults, there's not a lot you can do other than smash them. So find those bugs, smash them when you see them, and try and keep them away from your pomegranates because we are looking forward to a great harvest of pomegranates later in October and early November. If you see the smaller nymphs of the leaf-footed bugs, neem oil is effective on that size of bugs. So if you see those, you can go ahead and spray with neem oil. But neem oil often isn't effective on the adult leaf-footed bugs, unfortunately. All right, so let's talk about what we can plant in our garden this month. For those of you that don't know, I have a perpetual calendar that lists what vegetables, herbs, and flowers you can plant in your garden each month. And you can easily see what to plant each month. Here are all the things that we can plant in September. So early in the month, before September 15th, it is still a good time to plant beans and summer squash. Get those last couple of summer squash planted. If you want to get a jump start on your September garden, you can plant seeds of bok choy, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, celery, chard, collard greens, cucumbers, kale, kohlrabi, lettuce, leeks, mustard, green onions, parsnips, radishes, rutabagas, spinach, and turnips all month long. After September 15th, hopefully things have cooled down a little bit and you can plant transplants of broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, celery, and lettuce. After September 15th, you can plant beets and peas, both from seeds. You can also start your potatoes. You can begin planting itoy onions and also strawberries. Don't worry, on a lot of these plants, their planting window goes for quite a while. If temperatures are still hot or you're not having luck getting seeds germinated, it's okay to wait until later in the month or even early in October for a lot of these things. For flowers, all month long you can plant begonia, dianthus, foxglove, forget-me-not, bells of Ireland, baby's breath, geraniums, and marigolds. Once temperatures cool around the middle of the month, you can begin planting calendula, delphinium, gaillardia, snapdragon, African daisy, verbena, salvia, lobelia, gazania, petunias, and flax. If you have questions about whether to use seeds or transplants for those flowers, head to my blog. I have a planting guide for flowers and it goes through each flower and it tells you whether or not it's better to use seeds or transplants, and so that can clear up some of that confusion. So you'll notice there's not a lot of herbs on this month's list. It's still a little warm and a lot of herbs are planted from transplant, and they will do best if you can wait just a little bit longer into October. And in October you can plant just about every perennial herb. Now you know what to do in September. Get busy, get out there, get something planted. Have a great month. Thank you so much for watching.